want to talk about Whoopi Goldberg because I got so many texts this week because she attacked me the week before.
Sure.
So everybody was like, "Oh, Bill, I get you're enjoying the karma." First of all, I'm going to talk about this at the end of my show next week, teaser. But there is no fucking thing as karma. Okay, get over that.
The battle of ideologies. Loyalty versus logic politics today isn't driven by reasoned debate or a genuine exchange of ideas. It's a battlefield where loyalty often trumps logic. People don't just defend their beliefs, they protect their side, refusing to acknowledge even the most blatant contradictions. But what happens when someone refuses to play by those rules? Enter Bill Maher, a sharp-witted, no-nonsense commentator who has made a career out of calling out hypocrisy on both sides of the aisle. And then there's Whoopi Goldberg, a staunch liberal who has built her brand on unwavering ideological loyalty. When the two clashed in a heated debate, it wasn't just a war of words. It was a test of intellectual honesty. And for Whoopi, it was a brutal wake-up call. What started as a debate quickly spiraled into a dismantling of her talking points. Maher, known for his brutal precision, didn't just challenge her views. He exposed the weaknesses in her arguments with cold, hard facts. Whoopi pushed back, refusing to concede, but as the discussion unfolded, the cracks in her stance became impossible to ignore. The more she defended her position, the more it unraveled under the weight of Maher's relentless scrutiny. That'd be why the time it was over. It wasn't just a conversation, it was a moment of reckoning. And Whoopi, let's just say this is one debate she won't forget anytime soon.
Understand that part of our sorry racial history in this country is that the point of view from a black person is often going to be very different and sometimes shocking.
Bill Maher has built his brand on a simple yet powerful principle: exposing hypocrisy wherever it exists. Unlike many political commentators who stick to their party's script, Maher takes pride in challenging both conservatives and liberals alike. And in his latest clash with Whoopi Goldberg, he proved once again why he's one of the few mainstream voices willing to speak uncomfortable truths. That is, Whoopi leaned on the usual talking points so frequently echoed on The View. Maher wasted no time in cutting through the rhetoric. He fired back with undeniable facts, highlighting contradictions in real time. Caught off guard, Whoopi found herself on the defensive, struggling to reconcile her broad ideological claims with the hard realities Maher presented. The debate took a sharp turn when Maher pointed out just how out of touch elite liberal narratives have become with the struggles of everyday Americans. While politicians and media personalities continue to push culture wars, regular people are dealing with soaring inflation, rising crime, and a broken economy. And yet, instead of addressing those pressing concerns, the conversation is often hijacked by ideological distractions that have little to do with the daily realities of working-class citizens. For Whoopi, it was clear that sticking to the script wasn't going to work this time. Maher wasn't just debating her. He was exposing the gap between political rhetoric and real life.
I watch your show all the time, so I know that you're a comic, but you basically go after Trump and Biden. You know, both of them. And a lot of people are not happy with you about that.
Equally.
Well, not equally, because you know that Trump is doing more dangerous.
Of course. I mean, I don't think anybody was more out front on that danger than I was.
Whoopi Goldberg has long been a defender of progressive policies, often dismissing criticism as nothing more than right-wing spin. In her world, to challenge the Democratic establishment is to side with the opposition. But Bill Maher, he doesn't play that game. A classic liberal who refuses to blindly follow party lines. Maher has made it clear that he values truth over tribalism. And that's exactly what set the stage for a debate that was anything but predictable. As the conversation heated up, it became clear that only one of them was armed with facts. Whoopi attempted to defend her stance by leaning on familiar rhetoric, but the deeper the discussion went, the more evident it became that she was struggling to keep up. At one point, Maher directly challenged the idea that questioning the Democratic Party makes someone a right-wing extremist. Since when does holding your own side accountable make you a traitor? He asked. It was a question that left Whoopi scrambling for an answer.
I was talking about how he was never going to give up power long ago when everybody was laughing at me and said, you smoke too much pot. And I said, I smoke just the right amount of pot. Because plainly, I was using the term slow-moving coup before he was elected the first time.
That's right.
I said, this guy is never going to concede power. It's impossible to imagine him going, oh, I lost.
The clash intensified when Whoopi Goldberg attempted to brush off concerns about crime, inflation, and the struggles of the working class. To her, these were just exaggerated talking points used by conservatives to fearmonger. But Maher wasn't about to let that slide. He fired back with cold, hard reality, pointing out that these aren't just political talking points. They are real-life issues affecting millions of Americans every single day. Rather than confront the facts head-on, Whoopi relied on vague deflections, sidestepping the uncomfortable truth that many of the policies she defends have contributed to the very problems she dismisses. Maher, on the other hand, brought receipts. He laid out the numbers, statistics on crime spikes, inflation rates, and economic struggles, leaving Whoopi with little room to maneuver. The audience could see the difference. Maher was arguing from reality, while Whoopi was clinging to outdated narratives that no longer reflected the world outside elite political circles.
I'm nervous about saying anything against Biden because I feel, not that I have so much power, and you have some more than I do, obviously, but...
Oh, I don't know about that.
Are you afraid that you might, influence people who are on the fence?
I think you lose all credibility.
Maher has never been afraid to call out double standards. And in this debate, he zeroed in on a particularly brutal truth. Progressive elites love to claim they speak for marginalized communities, yet they rarely listen to them. Polls consistently show that Black and Hispanic voters prioritize economic stability and public safety over culture war battles, yet mainstream media and progressive activists continue to push narratives that don't align with these communities' real concerns. Maher laid out the uncomfortable reality. While elite politicians and media figures focus on ideological purity, working-class Americans are struggling to make ends meet. Whoopi, however, refused to engage. Rather than acknowledge the growing divide between progressive leadership and the people they claim to represent, she stuck to the same talking points, inadvertently proving Maher's point even further.
My bond with my audience has always been I don't pull a punch.
Yeah.
My bond with my audience is you're not going to like everything I say, but I'm saying what I really think is true.
Right.
That's... And look, Biden just presents as old. It's not really fair.
No.
Because he's almost the same age. Trump is almost the same age as him.
I know.
The debate took an even sharper turn when Maher brought up the ongoing Hunter Biden scandals. While Democrats frequently preach about accountability and justice, Maher pointed out that the same standards don't seem to apply when one of their own is involved. Whoopi, visibly uneasy, attempted to dismiss the issue as overblown media drama. But Maher wasn't letting that slide. He pressed harder, forcing her to confront the hypocrisy of a party that claims to stand for transparency while shielding its own from scrutiny. The cracks in her argument were undeniable, and for the first time in the debate, it was clear that Whoopi was struggling to maintain control of the conversation.
It doesn't present that way. You look at somebody right away, you can kind of just sum them up. I mean, we are not young, but we don't present as old.
Yeah.
Biden does. I saw him yesterday making that speech. I mean, I'm sorry, he's cadaver-like.
But his brain is good. He's still great.
Well, here's what I said. Like, when I came back after the strike in September, I said, he should get out.
Maher didn't hold back, reminding everyone of Biden's own words. No one is above the law. Yet, here was the president pardoning his own son. The hypocrisy was undeniable. Maher hammered the point home. If rules only apply when they're convenient, then they aren't really rules at all. Whoopi, struggling to justify the contradiction, faltered under the weight of Maher's relentless logic. The debate was over. She just didn't realize it yet.
I mean, a conservative once said to me, what you guys in the liberal side of it don't get about Donald Trump is we don't like him either.
Yeah.
It's just that in this country, it's binary. I mean, gender may not be binary, but politics is. You only get two choices. And the stuff that they are afraid of, they see Donald Trump as a bulwark against.
As tensions rose, Maher turned his sights on the media's blatant bias. He slammed mainstream outlets for burying the Hunter Biden story in an effort to protect their preferred political narrative. Rather than presenting the facts, They manipulated information to fit a predetermined agenda. Whoopi, instead of addressing the evidence, dismissed it as just another right-wing conspiracy. But that excuse had long since worn thin, and the audience could see it. The truth was out, and she had nowhere left to hide.
Buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
By the time the debate ended, the contrast was clear. Maher came armed with facts, logic, and a willingness to challenge his own side. Whoopi came with deflections, vague arguments, and a refusal to acknowledge inconvenient truths. For those watching, it wasn't just another debate. It was a moment of reckoning, a reality check that exposed the widening gap between elite political narratives and the struggles of everyday Americans. And for Whoopi Goldberg, it was a debate she won't be forgetting anytime soon.